Hey y'all, welcome to my channel. I am Shanice Latiara and I'm just going to jump into this video. So today I'm going to be talking about my birth story. Before I get into this video, I do want to say, well, first of all, like and subscribe so you can keep up with my videos. I also did a video before this. I talked about my experience of being pregnant because everybody does not have an easy pregnancy. So I just talked about how I didn't really enjoy being pregnant until like the end of my, until like the third trimester. So I'm gonna have that video, and I'm gonna have the link to that video in my description box. And then also, I talked about my breastfeeding journey as well. It's been a year for me, going on 14 months technically. Um, I'm also gonna put that link in the box. But yeah, today I'm going to be talking about my birth story. So, let's see, where do I start? Okay, so, it's so nosy. Let me start with, so I had actually hired a doula towards the end of my pregnancy because I didn't really think about getting a doula until one of my friends that I had met. She was also pregnant. I didn't think about getting a doula until like she kind of brought up. I think she went to like an event where she was meeting doulas. And so I was like, it had been something that I had thought about before and it was like in the back of my mind. But when she said something, it just kind of sparked something in me. And so that's when I went to search for a doula. I got one in like April. So May, June. I had my son in June, so I was pretty much like 8 months pregnant. Maybe like 7 or 8 months pregnant when I hired my doula actually. So I did get a doula very late. I did actually get a midwife very late, but that is, well, when I talked to them, it really wasn't a problem. It really just more so what I wanted to do. So talking with my doula, I did decide to do a water birth. So that was the original plan. And because I was talking to her, and the more I was talking to her, she was just like, it sounds like you want to do a water birth because you keep talking about it. And my thing was, I was okay with being at the hospital if I could do a water birth there. But where I live at, there isn't really any hospitals that actually allow you to. They don't have like a tub in the room, but there are birth centers here. So I was more so looking for like a hospital that actually allows me to do a water birth, if that makes sense. He's in the way. So that was that. I'm trying not to make sure I leave out any details. So yeah, I hired a doula. I actually had a midwife like maybe, it had to be sometime in April and May. Had to be either one of those months. I don't remember exactly when. But like I say, when I talked to both of them, it was something that was like, okay, we could do this even this late. Of course, I would, if I could go and do it over, I would have gotten my doula and midwife at the beginning of my pregnancy, and I do like encourage you all to do that as well, if that's something that you're thinking about, or maybe you're not pregnant right now, but you are like planning, or I shouldn't say planning, but you know what I mean, like if you do plan on getting pregnant in the future. You're really not helping me right now. So I had all of that said. I did sit down and talk to my midwife, and I just asked her about it because I'm just like, it felt kind of crazy for me to do a water birth. Like, I know people are not, I know people have their reservations about that because you're actually doing well, with a water birth, you can either do it at home or you can do it at the center. I was actually going to have it at home. So I know that when I told like family members and stuff, they were just kind of like, what? But based off what I wanted, like a water birth would have been, it was like the best option for me. Well, it lined up with what I wanted, basically. So another thing, I found out that I was actually very anemic towards the end of my pregnancy. My midwife, so as far as like water births, you if you're healthy and you have no complications with your birth, you can have a water birth. But with me, because my iron was low, I couldn't really have a water birth. So my midwife was actually trying to get my iron levels up. So I was trying to make sure that I was taking my pills, and then she had also recommended that I take do a iron infusion, but it was kind of like, I don't want to say pushing it, but because I was like 38 weeks when when she was talking about, I was somewhere between like maybe 36, 37, 38 weeks when she was talking about me having actually I think I was 37 weeks when she was talking about me having the iron transfusion. And even the doctor was like, well, you can get it, but I don't know if your your iron level is gonna shoot up right away. And actually, the week after I saw the doctor for my iron infusion, I actually went into labor. Well, I had to be induced, which I'm about to get into. And well, this part is kind of my pregnancy experience, but I'm gonna get to my birth story in a minute. Um, he's so curious. But actually, my midwife had sent me to the emergency room, or she told me to go to the emergency room because I had protein in my iron as well as my blood pressure was going up. But when I got there, I was good. So yeah, this my blood pressure. Well, actually, my midwife instructed me to get a like a wrist cuff where I could check my blood pressure at home, and that was like the smartest, wisest thing I could have ever done because it had saved me. Um, but yeah, when I checked this last time I checked my pressure, it was high. So I'm talking to my midwife like, okay, my pressure's up, and she had to send me back to the ER again. Now me and my husband, we were not actually, by this time I was 38 weeks, and by this time I actually was not, we were actually not planning on being to the hospital. We just thought that they were going to give me some medicine or that my blood pressure was going to go down and I was going to be okay. But that night, it did not happen. My blood pressure was going up. I think they gave me some blood pressure medication. That was so mean. Give me this. Give me this. But, see how you do me? But, yeah. So the doctor came in and she was like, okay, we're going to have to go ahead and induce you because my blood pressure was not going down. So I was just kind of like, whoa, like, okay, it's time. And I'm going to talk about this later as well. I'm going to talk about my experience with my doula, but my doula actually was not there. She was supposed to be there, but, and like I said, I'm going to get into the details later, but the plan changed and she actually offered me virtual services. So she wasn't there, but I was texting her and calling her while I was there. That was kind of, I would not recommend virtual services unless for some reason the doula or whatever midwife couldn't be there. Because I don't think it really helped me like in the way that I could have gotten help if she was there. But again, that's another story that I'm going to get into later. But yeah, they had to give me I actually had to write down my birth plan while I was there in the hospital. And again, that's another story because I should have already been prepared before I even got there. I actually was going to, that weekend that I went into labor, that was the weekend that I was actually going to be going over my birth plan with my doula. And again, I was 38 weeks. But I actually wrote it while I was there in the hospital. And everything that I didn't want to happen happened. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but that's just how my birth story went. I ended up getting an epidural. I ended up getting induced. I think it was called Pitocin, I think it was. I'm not sure if that's the same thing, but they did give me a pill to, to kind of induce me. And I had to take it twice because the first time I took it, I wasn't having contractions it wasn't going how they, wanted me to go. So I took that pill twice. And then I also had to get the bulb. And I'm not sure if I'm using the correct terminology, but I do know that it was called a bulb. And just so excited, huh? You gonna help me tell the story? But yeah, I did have to get the bulb inserted. And that's when the epidural came because, the doctor was like, well, you could get epidural because when we insert the bulb, it is gonna hurt, it is gonna be uncomfortable. And she was like, you can get it before we actually put it in. And I thought that was the best thing to do. I thought that was the best thing to do because I didn't want to be in the middle. Like after they insert the bulb, I didn't want to be hurting and then I wouldn't be able to get an epidural. So I opted to get the epidural first. And let me tell y'all, I was so nervous. Like I was already dealing with anxiety, which I talked about in my last video about my pregnancy. But yeah, I was really nervous when I was getting the epidural. They tell you not to move with epidural, and I'm not advising anybody to do this, but I did jump when I was getting epidural. And I'm not sure how true it is, but they say if you move the wrong way or something like that, you could become paralyzed. But I did jump. I didn't do like a big jump, but it was kind of like, how I guess if somebody if you don't know anybody's behind you and they rub up against you, you just kind of, I kind of did that. So, but I will say the person that did my epidural, they knew what they were doing. When I actually got the epidural though, it actually wasn't that bad. It just felt like pressure when they put it in, and then, that was pretty much it. It wasn't bad. And then plus, also after they put the line in for the epidural, are you looking at yourself in the mirror? Oh, you got lipstick on you now. After they put the line in for the epidural, you do have this I forgot what you call it, but you do have a thing where you can kind of give yourself the shot of epidural. You can press it and then it gives you more medicine, and then it'll only let you press it so many times though. I meant to say press it so many times. And then the interesting thing, y'all, I just felt like I was not prepared for this thing, but the interesting thing was that so the nurse, she was a black lady. I did have several nurses, but she was one of the main ones that stuck out to me because when she came on her shift, she was like, oh, we have babies in my shift. And sure enough, by the end of her shift, I had my baby. I had my son. Yeah, talk about you. But yeah, I really appreciated her, and I actually want to go back to the hospital and find out who was my nurses, everything, and kind of thank them and stuff like that. But back to what I was saying. So my nurse did explain, and this is the interesting part. My nurse did explain that she said, okay, the epidural is going to take away the pain, but not the pressure. So you're going to feel a lot of pressure. And I'm just thinking I don't want to feel anything. I kind of went in thinking that the epidural was going to take all the pain away, but it didn't. She said that I needed to be able to feel when to push and stuff. So yeah, let me tell y'all, I don't know how the pain feels, but the pressure, it still hurt because how it felt, and this might be a little bit TMI, so you might want to skip past this part if you don't want to hear it, but I'm just going to be real with y'all. When the contractions were coming, especially when they were building up and they were getting more intense, I had a lot of pressure in my butt, basically. It is true. They say it feels what's the matter? They say it feels like you might have to like use the bathroom. It did feel like that. It felt like I had to use the bathroom, but nothing wasn't coming out. But it almost felt like it almost felt like I had to use the bathroom and I couldn't control it. You know what I'm saying? But it definitely was a lot of pressure. And I was trying everything to kind of like um, alleviate or like cope with the pain. You can ask my husband, like I was like literally saying like affirmations. Sometimes he would be like on the side of my bed and I would just have like I would have his hand and I would like rub my face against his hand. Like I was just trying anything. Because certain stuff I would do, it would kind of make me feel calm, and then that kind of helped. But the other thing that kind of added to this, okay, with the epidural, you cannot get up out the bed because obviously you can't feel like your legs that much. And then on top of that, I was having problems with like my it's not necessarily my pelvis, but like it was kind of like my near my tail. I would say near my tailbone because I'm not sure exactly what that would be called, but like near my tailbone, I was having problems with sitting down. When I sit down, it hurts. It's like I have a lot of pressure. Are you gonna let mama finish this? So yeah, I was having problems with like my pelvis or like my tailbone, that area back there. When I would sit down, it would hurt. I would have to like sit a certain way so that I wouldn't put a lot of pressure on my butt. So that kind of carried on into when I was having labor, because I couldn't get out of the bed. It was so uncomfortable because I had to. Not only was I in labor, but I also had to like make sure that I was sitting in a comfortable position because it was just so uncomfortable. Just sitting there that whole time. And mind you, I went into labor. Well, we got to the hospital that, I want to say that Saturday, I want to say maybe midnight, Friday. And then I went into labor Saturday. I had my son on Sunday. So, and the nurse said I did pretty good for this to be my first time, because usually first time moms they labor for a lot longer than that. So I was just thankful that I did not have a long labor. So with my labor, I hadn't really eaten anything because when we went in, it was at nighttime and we didn't think that we didn't think that I was gonna get induced that night. So I hadn't had anything to eat. I hadn't had anything to drink. There was like a cutoff time when I had to stop eating and stuff like that. But I was able to have ice chips. I'm pretty sure a lot of women have experienced this or have heard this story before. So even though I was like tired, you know how I don't know if y'all have ever experienced this where it's like even though it's like late at night and you should be asleep, you should be trying to rest, but you just either so excited or you just have like a lot of stuff on your mind until like you can't really go to sleep. But you're not like tired. That's how I kind of felt. Like my doula was telling me to kind of take a nap because I would need that energy later. But I'm just like, I can't go to sleep. Like I can't go to sleep. So I think I was pretty much up the whole time. And that was a long time. And like I said, I had not eaten. I didn't even have anything to drink. And then also on top of that, they had to keep monitoring my blood pressure. They had to keep putting medicine into my IV to bring my blood pressure down. So it was very painful. Even though I had an epidural, it was very painful because of the pressure that I was feeling. And so the other thing that I want to add is that I did have one doctor. So because I was dealing with anxiety, I was just explaining to the doctor that was coming in to check me, because they have to basically stick their hand up there and see how far along you are. I was telling her like, can you please kind of like tell me like what you're doing first, or like what you're about to do, because that'll kind of help me to relax. And I don't remember this, but my husband actually said that she didn't listen to me. She kept like just going in, and it was hurting me. I don't remember that, but it did hurt. It does hurt when they check you, especially when I was like further along in labor, when my contractions were like really intense. Um, and she had her hand up there, and then I was like contracting really bad. I was just like, ooh, you gotta get out of me. Like, it's hurting, it's hurting, it's hurting. So yeah, I don't really remember that, but my husband said that the doctor basically wasn't like listening to me. So yeah, so when my son was, or I guess when it was time to push, um, I kept telling my nurse, she would come and go, like, um, she would like come check on me and then leave and then come back, and so it was just me and my husband. Um, and y'all, like I said, I was trying to do affirmations. I was literally like calling the name of Jesus, like really, because it's just the pain, it builds up and then it kind of levels off and then it builds up. And then especially when you get towards the end of the labor, it builds up, and then the amount of time that it goes down shortens, so your contractions get like really intense, and it's like you just kind of have to, like, I don't want to say take the pain, but it's just like you basically have to like get through it. Basically, I guess it's the best way to explain it, because I mean I had epidural, but I was sitting there the whole time, so it was just like, I don't want to say like it was the worst pregnancy or the worst birth story ever. Well, that part, anyways, but it definitely wasn't what I wanted. Um, I'm pretty sure if I had my doula there, or even if I had a water birth and I was with my midwife, I'm pretty sure it would have went a different way. So let me make sure this camera is right, y'all. Why y'all ain't tell me? So when it was time for me to push, I kept telling. Well, first of all, I kept telling my nurse. I was like, it just feels like I have to go to the bathroom. I was like, it feels like, um, because basically they kind of tell you like where you at. You're at 8 centimeters, 10 centimeters, and I did. So okay, let me back up a little bit. When I was messaging my doula, she was sending me, texting me, um, just positions that I can do to kind of help me labor. So I was trying that. But again, I was also trying to sit in a way that was comfortable to me. So sometimes I just had to just try different stuff. And then my nurse was also telling me that. Um, and then she had to help me move my legs. She had to help move my legs when I would get in those positions. But it wasn't like I could like stand up or anything, or like, sit up. Not sit up, but you know what I mean, like my legs. I couldn't really move my legs. So she had to help me with that. Um, so when it was time to push, I was telling my nurse like, I think I have to push. Um, like it just feels very intense right now. So she kept asking me like, are you feeling pressure, or are you feeling pain? Because that's what she told me in the beginning. Like, you're gonna feel pressure. Like the epidural is not gonna help with the pressure. The epidural is gonna help with the pain. And I'm just thinking like, I thought the epidural helped with everything, but obviously not. I was wrong about that. But yeah. So when it was time to push, she basically taught me how to push. Again, I think it would have been different if my doula was there, but that's a whole other story. She taught me how to push, and I was on my back. My husband was there. He saw the baby come out. And I will say it was so encouraging to have my husband there and the nurse there. I think there was another nurse. They were just kind of like cheering me on to push. They were like, "You're almost there. You're almost there." But she taught me how to push. You got to tuck your chin and do all that type of stuff, and kind of like push, but you don't push I think she said you kind of push with your lower body. You don't push. I forgot, but basically you tuck your chin in and you push. Um, but but yeah, she taught me how to push, and we actually did like a test run. She was like, okay, this is how you push. Let's do it right quick and see if you know how to do it. I did it, and she was like, no, you gotta try again because you're not really pushing. And again, I was very thankful for the coaching part because with the epidural, you really can't feel, you really can't feel the baby moving, or you can't really feel that part of, that part of labor. So I think when I had the head out, yeah, when the head was out, she was like, okay, we gotta call the doctor in, and I'm just thinking like, what, is the doctor coming right now? Because this baby gotta get out. And she was like, yeah, she's coming. And I think that's the thing about being at a hospital. Uh, when you have a water birth, well, obviously I've never had a water birth, but I know from stories that I've heard, basically everybody's right there when you need them. So I had to wait till the doctor come. I didn't wait that long though, so I was thankful for that. But I was so ready to have him out of me because the head was sticking out. I was on my back, had my legs open, and I could feel it was so. I could feel the pressure when his head was out, and then when they finally pulled him out, it was still pressure, but it was like a pop. I know that don't make sense, but that's how I felt. Um, and then I had my son. Yeah, and then that part was kind of I want to say kind of hazy because they took my I think they took like my fingerprint or my son's, not my son's, but they did something and I didn't realize that they did it, but it was kind of hazy because I mean they were just like, it was like several people in the room and they were each doing something different, but I was just like, I cried tears of joy because I was like, oh my God, I did it. Like, I mean, because when you go through that pain and all that and then the baby is finally here, it's just like, finally he's here, I did it, oh my God. So I was holding my son and everything, and then the doctor that was on call and that pulled the baby out, um uh she had to sew me up. I think I had, ooh, y'all, I'm forgetting the details, but I did have a tear. It wasn't that bad, but she did sew me up. And I could kind of feel her a little bit. So I was just like, am I supposed to feel this? And they were like, no, you're not supposed to feel it. So I was just kind of like, ow, ow, ow. You know, maybe the epidural was wearing off by that time. I don't know. But yeah, pretty much after that, my husband was able to hold the baby. I actually had to move rooms like right after that. And then the nurse, she helped me to the bathroom. Whew. This is what I mean in my last video about first of all, why nobody told me that pregnancy and having birth was gonna be like this? Why nobody told me? Why? Like, it's so messy, but it's beautiful. Because what I was gonna say was I actually had to, I was still bleeding, but it wasn't like I'm trying to see how to describe it. It wasn't like I had my cycle on, but I was bleeding and I had to sit on a pack of ice. Not a pack of ice, but like the ice packs. I had to put that in my mesh underwear and sit on that. So I was just like, ugh. But I had to deal with it. I'm going to get into more details about my postpartum experience, but I do want to say this because this is part of my birth story. They released me, right? And maybe like a couple days later, my pressure actually, and I thank God for this because I feel like it was nobody but God just watching over me because what happened was I was actually sleeping with my son and I actually just woke up out of nowhere. And I just didn't feel good. Like I just didn't feel well. And I was just like, I don't feel too good. And my husband was like, let me check your pressure. Let's check your pressure. So I checked my pressure and it was like 198 over 100. So he was like, oh, we gotta go back to the hospital. So we went back to the hospital. I'm gonna kind of like rush through this part because I'm gonna get into more details about this on my next video. But basically, they were saying that I had what is it? I forgot what it's called. Okay, that's the word. They treated me as if I had preeclampsia, but from what I got from what they were saying, they were treating me as if I had preeclampsia, even though I didn't have preeclampsia, because my pressure was high, and it was not going down. I think it was like going down and then it'll go back up. So I had to do 12 hours of magnesium treatment where I couldn't eat or drink. I could still, my husband and my son was still there, so I could still actually breastfeed my son. I was so nervous about that, but right before they were about to discharge me, a doctor actually ordered an ultrasound. And when I had the ultrasound, they found out that I actually had placenta left in me. So basically, y'all, I could have died if the doctor had not ordered this ultrasound for me. So I'm gonna stop there because I'm gonna this is a little emotional for me, and I am going to add in I am gonna talk about this more in detail in my next video. So